one quick note on step 6 that you will see. It confused me at first, but eventually figured it out. You see on step 6 in the instructions, it calls these parts AA2, and there's actually two AA2 parts on the sprue. You have one here and one here, but you'll notice one has a post, one does not. So for whatever reason they gave them the same part number. What you'll just need one of each of these for the legs. Just wanted to point that out because that is something that did throw me for a couple of minutes on the instructions, and so I just want to throw that out there so people don't get fused. And I'll snip these out and be right back. Just another quick point of clarification on the instructions. For step 8, you see these pieces at the bottom. It says it comes off of sprue C, and it's parts 5A and 5B. Now there's only one C sprue. For my assembly, I'm designating C to be the left side. There's a B sprue that is pretty much identical to C, and that's where you'll find the other two parts. So you have a C sprue and a B sprue. C, you need 5A and B, and then off sprue B, you'll need 5A and 5B. And again, for the purposes of my assembly, I'm saying C is the left side and B will be the right side. Okay, here we are now with the steps 6 through 8. The first part of step 6 will be taking the small parts here for the hydraulics. Now again, as I said previously, there are two parts that are labeled AA2. You'll need one of each off of that AA sprue. And all you do is, for step 6, you just put the AA3 piece into the bottom of AA2 and just set those aside for the moment. And then the next part, you're going to need your left leg, and we're going to be putting the hydraulics through the moving piece here. So what you'll need this, and then the two large pieces. So again, as with the other one, you have the other on the sprue. It's actually marked number 4 on the AA sprue, but again, just like with the number 2 part, there's actually two sides to it, so you'll need one of each for this. So the way this works is you just take the 4 piece and you slot it through the moving part there, snap it together, and then the hydraulic lifts themselves go right into the holes there. We've got that piece done. And again, as the leg moves, these will move in and out, which is a really cool piece of engineering. So that goes on there like so. And that's step 7. And now step 8, you have the side pieces here. And this actually will fit right over here. Oops. And again, this part on here, on the sliding piece, obviously there's no glue. And I'm actually not gluing the top either because for painting purposes, it would be very difficult to paint around all this. So I'm kind of leaving this stuff loose for now so I can go back, disassemble it later and paint it. I'll probably tack some of this stuff together as I move forward in the assembly just so it stays on. And you can see what it looks like, but for now I'm just going to leave it loose. So on these side pieces here, you'll notice you just want to line up the post with the 2 little holes. And again, this can glue in place. And then the top piece here, this post on the hydraulics we just put in place slots in there. So you put that on like so. Move this piece down. Line up the hydraulics like thus. And then you put on the opposite side the same way. Just line the holes up. And now you would glue here and here, but I would keep any glue from these parts because you want as the leg moves up and down, you're going to want to be able to have those hydraulics working appropriately. So let me see if I can do it without having it glued in place here just to show you. So as the leg, there you go. So as the leg straightens, the hydraulics would open up. So I got it so tight here, I'm doing it too far. I think you get the idea. So you just have to be careful where you place the glue. The instructions are pretty good about telling you where not to put the glue. So on these two pieces here, you just glue around here to keep them in place, but do not put glue on this part here, because you're going to want that to be able to rotate with the different poses of the legs. Anyway, yeah, like I said, it's a little harder here since I'm not gluing them in place. But like I said, I don't want to glue this right now just because for painting purposes it'll be tough to get back in there when painting. So I'm just going to leave that loose for now. The last piece, so once you have that in place, I guess the next part on step 8 would be the two parts you use from step 6. The post at the top goes through the hole in the on the leg, and then the cup here would go over this part that moves at the bottom, right at the, I guess more or less the Achilles heel here. So you can fiddle with that to get it in place. And again, if you're gluing this, it'll be much easier to do all this. I'm trying to hold all these pieces in place. You know what? Just let those go. Pull that up. And you just line up the, I guess it's probably easier just to put the cup on there first and then put this in. And you've got, there you go. And this will be the same as the ankle moves or goes forward. It'll compress the hydraulics, and then as it moves back, it'll open up. Then on the opposite side, you just put the other half from step 6 here. Go backwards. Part goes on the bottom. Slide that on. Try not to block your view here. So then you just line this up with the post going through from the other side. There. So this actually gives you some, you can turn the ankle side to side as well as up and down. So gives you more posability on that. So that would be step 8. And again, if you're not concerned about taking it apart for painting, you could just glue it in the appropriate spots here. Just stay away from the hydraulics themselves. So for this part here, you'd really just be gluing this piece to here and then leaving the other part alone so it can rotate freely. And then for this top piece, you'll have to be a little more careful with this one, because with this post going through here, you don't want to get glue on this middle part, because then it won't rotate. So what you need to do is pull up. Actually, I'll just take the part off of the other one here. You just have to put a little dab of glue in there, just so the end of the post is glued into that piece. See, this is the same piece here, but you don't want to get glue in the middle there, because if it gets on there, it's going to seize that up and you won't be able to get all the range of motion. So just be a little careful. Don't put too much glue on there, just enough to hold it in place on this piece here. And that should be all the glue you really need for that part. At least the way I'm looking at it now. I may come back and revise that once I get all this together, but right now it looks like that's the only things you would need to glue. And the amazing thing about this is, you know, we've got this leg mostly together, and this is the first time I really had to glue anything. Everything else is with the screws and stuff, makes it a nice build. So it's kind of light on the glue so far, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's what you'd end up with. And then the last part of step 8 is you have these two little like wing pieces, and these you do not glue in place. They just sit on here and they'll be held in place in the next step. But for now, they just kind of go on here. And again, this is the left leg, so these are the parts from the C sprue, and on the other one, when we do the next leg, it'll be the right leg, so those will be the two pieces off the B sprue. So I'll set this one aside, and again, those parts, they'll be held in place once we put the foot on, so don't worry about those at the moment. So then just it's rinse and repeat on the other side. Just step 6, you put these pieces together like so. Keep those aside. Then you get your AA4 pieces. Slot them through like so. And again, the same thing with these here. If, you want to make sure they're excuse me, lined up properly, and they're not before you do any gluing on these here, because right now they're just held together by tension. But what you probably want to do is just put a small drop of glue in the cup there, not too much, because you don't want it to overflow and then stick to the middle piece, because you want to retain the ability for the hydraulics to move in this direction as well. So just be very careful with the gluing there. And these you don't glue, they just slide in. You've got that piece in place, you've got your two side parts, which again I'm not putting on right now. And then for the bottom, you just take your parts from step 6, slide the cup over, slide that through, slide the cup over on the other side, bring this up. You're moving in 2 or 3 different directions here, so it gets a little difficult. Now this looks like might need to trim that post a little bit, because if you'll see, there's a little play in there. So it looks like need to trim that post down just a little bit. And with any of this, you just want to be careful. You don't want to take too much off, because then it won't have the reach you need. So don't use snips as they tend to take off more material. And just take it slow. This is a thicker, more rigid plastic. And you might have to put some more effort into cutting it and at times than you would on other plastics, so just be careful with your direction of your knife. And make sure you have a sharp blade. Dull blades are more likely to cause a problem than sharp ones because it requires you to put more force than you need to. So that's your safety tip for the day. And I only shaved off a little tiny bit here, because again, if you make this too short, then it's not going to reach all the way through, and then you're SOL. So let's put this back in. Put that on. Slide that through. And let's see if that looks better. Yep, that looks a lot better. Now again, it's up to you. I just want to make that a little tighter. If you're fine, or if you don't feel comfortable cutting, that's completely understandable. So just do what you're comfortable with. And then again, the last step on 8 is just putting these two little wings on the side here. And you have these you can glue in place. Or again, just do it later when you're ready to, after you've painted or primed at least. So that's steps 6 through 8 for both legs, and the next part we'll be moving on to is, looks like step 9, which is putting the foot together. So I'm going to get all those parts together and we'll be right back.